Let's do it to it, folks. Let's begin the finale. Alright. Robble. Now then, before we proceed any further, I'm going to announce the results of the tests we had performed earlier. Tests? Yes, tests on the bloody dagger that was found stuck in the pine tree. Oh yeah, that. Totally forgot about it. That's the weapon that Maya Fey used when she fought with the victim. So what are the results? Was it the victim's blood, or? Due to the time constraints, a full test was impossible. However, there's one thing we can say with certainty. The blood that was on the dagger was not the victim's blood. Haha! That is all. Now then, let's restart this trial. Well, alright then. If that's the case, there's gotta be a twist. And the whole thing that's been nagging at me this entire time, and this is me being very honest, I think, and I could be completely wrong, I actually now think that the real killer was none other than Bikini. I think the backstory was a bunch of fucking bullshit. I think she was stabbed, and that's why she wanted to go back to the temple, because she was fucked up and she needed to patch up her wound to say that she wasn't involved in it. I think it's Bikini. I think Bikini was involved. Okay. So it wasn't Misty's blood on the dagger. Then who was it? Dagger updated in the court record. I'm sure both the defense and the prosecution know this, but this trial is rapidly coming to a close. Both sides will need to show some firm evidence with their claims. I understand, Your Honor. From what I've heard, the witness is dangerously weak, physically speaking. So let's finish this quickly. Agreed. Very well. Please bring in the last witness. Witness, please tell us your name and profession. Maya Fey. My profession is, I'm the assistant manager at Wright & Company Law Offices. Maya, according to the magazine I have here, you're a spirit medium of the Korean channeling technique. I'm frightened. The Fey clan, I don't want any more to do with it. Oh, Maya. The pain the Fey bloodline causes must be unbearable. Very well. Now then, Miss Fey, when the event occurred, you were in the garden of the inner temple. And you witnessed the moment of Miss Elise Donim's murder. Is this correct? I don't see, I mean... Straighten up this instant, young lady. Huh? Pick your head up and speak clearly. There's always time for crying later. But your mother was killed right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do to change that fact. But there's something you can do. You can finish this. You've been watching the whole thing, right? You've seen the witnesses come out and you've seen us squeeze the truth out of them. Now it's your turn, so let's hear your testimony. On the night of the crime, what exactly did you see happen? Witness, if you please. Yes, Your Honor. All right. Here we go. I was passing through the garden on the way to the spare prep room when it happened. Suddenly, someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and I ended up against the stone lantern. I think I screamed, "Help me!" Then something warm splashed over me. That's when I lost consciousness. So you were struck on the head. I suppose it must have been with the staff. Maya, the person who hit you, it was Dahlia Hawthorne, wasn't it? I'm sorry, Nick. I couldn't see. I don't know who it was. Maya, think hard. Sorry, Nick, but I really couldn't. Ha! Can't say it was an especially good night for young ladies to be walking around alone. It seems that it will be hard to determine the criminal through the testimony alone. Very well then, Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination. Maya, hang in there. She doesn't look well at all. Alright, here we go. I was passing through the garden on the way to the spirit prep room when it happened. Who else was on the inner temple side that night? Well, Sister Bikini, of course, but I remember her saying that Iris would be coming later as well. On the day after the incident, Edgeworth met Bikini at Hazakura Temple. That means she couldn't be the criminal. So then, did Iris actually come later, like she said? Well, let me think. She seems confused, probably because she's so tired. No, I'm sure I didn't see her. She must have come while I was preparing for the training. Alright, then someone struck her over the head. Who did it? Who hit you? Ah, well, I didn't see who it was. I was hit from behind. You didn't see the person? But after that, your attacker was in front of you. How could you not see who it was? Oh, let me think for a sec. I'm sorry, I just can't remember. Maya's really having a hard time. What should I do? Press harder. But I'll say. Okay. Alright. Come on, Maya. This isn't making sense. Why didn't you see this person? Well, let me think. It was, Oh, yeah, that's right. It was dark. That's it. It was dark? It's not good to have too much light around when someone is undergoing spiritual training. Come to think of it, there was an earlier testimony to that effect as well. So it was dark in the garden on the night of the crime. Which is why she didn't see her attacker. I thought maybe she was trying to hide something, but I guess not. Judging by the testimony thus far, the identity of the attacker was most likely the spirit that was channeled by Elise Donim, Dahlia Hawthorne. Very well, please continue with your testimony. Alright. What happened after you were struck in the head? Alright, so she stumbled and ended up against the lantern. What happened afterwards? My attacker was in front of me, blocking off my escape, I think. You think? After getting hit like that, I was in a state of panic. There were only two things rolling around in my mind at the time. Well now, this is beginning to get interesting. So what were the two things rolling around in your mind? My name is Maya Fey, 1 + 1 = 2. You see, for some crazy reason, I was afraid I was going to lose my memory. I know it's odd considering my life was in danger, but that's how it was. That's not odd at all. Your actions are understandable given those circumstances. So what did you do then? So then she says she thinks she screamed, "Help me." You think you screamed, but you're not sure? Listen, I was a complete wreck. I was dark and I couldn't see my attacker. Was it a man, a woman, an adult, a child? I had no idea. I was scared out of my wits. Believe me, my dear, I'm certain I would have soiled my robes. I thought the person might attack me, so I'm pretty sure I screamed. I thought that was my last hope. Wow, it sounds like poor little Maya really was out of her mind. But I wonder what she meant by last hope. What did I do? Do I press her on more details? Say it again. What did she scream? So you're certain that you screamed, "Help me"? I think so. Now that I think about it, yeah, that's gotta be what I screamed. Ha! Is it all that strange, Stride, for her to have screamed, "Help me"? No, but something about that bugs me. Why would you face someone that's trying to kill you and go through the trouble of screaming for help? Alright then, witness, go on with your testimony. Okay. Alright, let's do this again. Let's do this again, press again. My last hope. Wait a minute, Maya. What's this my last hope stuff? What? What do you mean by your last hope? No. That's what you said. You just said my last hope. Huh? What? I said what? Look, you were facing an attacker that you couldn't see and you screamed, right? You screamed, "Help me." Yeah. But you testified that you screamed that because you thought it was your last hope. Oh, well, you know, that's like, what do you call it when that happens? Maya's not doing so well up there. Oh, yeah, oh, that's right. I remember now. I was facing my attacker, but that's not who I was screaming at. What did you just say? Yeah, that's right. It was the person behind my attacker that I was yelling at. That's who I was screaming at to help. Ah! What is it now? I messed up. I didn't mean to let that slip out. Huh? Witness, are you absolutely sure of what you're saying? Behind the attacker, there was another person? I am. Well, I meant to keep that part a secret. Yeah. What have I done? Ha! It takes a ton of pressure to make a diamond. That's what I always say. A ton of pressure? You're in a court of law here. You can't make things up or try to hide things in this chamber. Witness, the information you just presented is vital to the case. I want you to add it to your testimony. Alright, so here it is. I can see a man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. A man? Who is this man? Well, you see, I couldn't see. You couldn't see? She's used this excuse twice now. Well, you know, lantern light isn't very bright. Lantern light, did you say? There's a great big stone lantern in the garden. They always light it when an acolyte is there for training. Hey, you know what they say, under the lantern, darkness reigns. So I could see the person that was further away, but not my attacker who was closer. Plus, there weren't any other light sources in the garden at that time. Okay. There's something warm splashed over her, okay. Hold it! You don't mean, was it? I didn't know it at the time, but I think it was probably blood. Is she saying that's when Miss Donim, who was channeling Dahlia, was stabbed in the back by the killer? At that moment, I was paralyzed with fear. I was just sitting there in the snow. I'm sure blood got on everything around me. And that's when I lost consciousness. So what happened next? I don't remember. How were you saved? You don't remember that? No, I haven't got any idea. I really don't know what happened at all. That's too bad. I worked side by side with Maya for 2 years now. I can tell when she's trying to hide something by just how she acts. And right now, I'm absolutely certain she's hiding something. Okay. Someone struck me over the head. I stumbled and ended up against the stone lantern. There's the stone lantern. Oh, wait a minute! Lantern from the Inner Temple Garden. It was not lit the night of the crime. I could see the man behind my attacker by the light of the stone lantern. Nope. No, you couldn't, because it was not lit the night of the crime. Got it. So there was a man standing behind your attacker? Yeah. That man, he's the killer. He stabbed her from behind. He's the one who killed Elise Donim, otherwise known as Misty Faye, your mother. The killer? Maya, you know who killed your mother, don't you? Well, what's the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? To be frank, Your Honor, I think she is in shock and quite confused. That's why she hasn't noticed the huge problem with her testimony. Huh? What do you mean? What problem? Maya, on the night of the crime, that stone lantern was out of commission. Huh? What? It's true. There was no light anywhere in the garden that night. No. Order in this court. Mr. Godot, help explain this. Ha! Add the pureness of milk to the perfect clear darkness of coffee. Stir. That is the state of the witness's mind right now. A cup of café au lait. Café au lait? Is that even legal? Mr. Tright's words are the milk and you are the spoon. Your Honor. I'm a spoon? I'm no spoony bard, I'll have you know. That's a line from Final Fantasy IV. It was a mistranslation. It became a big thing. And there's even a content creator who's named after that shit. I'm not no part of the spoony bard joke. How dare you? You must have noticed it too, Trite. This witness's mental state is highly unstable right now. It's not hard to understand why she would make a little mistake like that. Sorry, but that's not gonna cut it. What did you say? If there is truly no light in the garden, then there's a fatal contradiction in the witness's last bit of testimony. Nick, may I? Recall the witness's statement about her attacker. She said that she didn't know if it was a man or a woman, an adult or a child. And yet, the witness could describe a person that was standing behind her attacker, and she quite clearly described him as a man. In other words, that would have to mean that Maya actually saw our mystery person. despite it being so dark that she couldn't see the face of her own attacker. No!
Order, order, order. What in the world does that all mean, Mr. Wright? Are you saying Miss Faye saw the real killer under pitch black conditions?
Objection!
Wright, do you have any idea what you're proposing? Ha! How could she have be seen in the dark? There was no other light source at the scene.
Objection!
There are some things that you can only see in the dark, Mr. Godot. Maya, you did see who the killer was in the dark. And now, you're trying to cover for him. Wait a minute! No fucking way! Who can you see in the dark? The dude with the bright glowing fucking visor on his fucking face. The murderer was Godot? What the hell? He wasn't even involved at all. It was him. It's gotta be him. His face glows in the fucking dark. Now that's a twist I didn't fucking expect. That came out of nowhere. Alright, well, shout out to Hashim, who just tipped me $10 and said, Phil, I'm a junior in university. I've been trying to stay in touch with people I thought were friends from classes, but they end up ignoring me. When I don't spam them, it kind of makes me sad. I wanted to know if you had advice for me. If the bottom line is that those people who don't want to give you the time of day, then don't give them the time of day, you know? Not that I'm in a similar situation, but it kind of sucked for me too, because when I was in university, the first semester I had a lot of friends, and then after that I couldn't live on campus anymore, and my other friends basically left that university and went to other colleges, and I had like no friends at school anymore. And it sucks, but you know, for me, I just kind of treated university as kind of like a second job, because I was working 2 jobs. Basically I was at university and then working to pay for university. So for me, it was like my actual fun wasn't at university anymore. It was whenever I got free time to do gaming or play Street Fighter or hang out with my Street Fighter friends. So, you know, it is what it is. It sucks. I hear ya. It can happen. But I wouldn't stress it too much. The bottom line is, you're at university to learn so that you can get a job after. Take all that effort that you maybe are a little bit upset about not spending time with friends, and work your butt off and get an internship or get something that's going to get your foot in the door of a job when you graduate, because that's the thing that didn't happen to me. Because I had to work a job to pay for university when I was in university, I then couldn't do an internship so I could qualify to get a job when I actually graduated with a diploma. So my university run was completely worthless because I had to work to pay for the job, to pay for the university while I was in school. While other people get the freedom, they don't have to worry about that. If that's your situation, dude, just worry about getting a job when you're out of there. Don't worry about having the friends from university and everything. Some people are lucky enough to have that. Some aren't. I certainly wasn't. You know, it's not a big deal in my opinion. Okay? Nihilistic Goldfish at 100 bit cheers. I'm a senior in college. Frankly, I didn't enjoy it one bit. I didn't either. I enjoyed my first semester, and that was it. After that, it was just another job. It was like, I work when you go to school, work to pay for school, and then every once in a while I had a day where I had some free time to play Street Fighter, and that was my fun time. So, all right, here we go. I'm trying to cover for him.
Cover? For the men that killed her mother?
There's only one conclusion I can draw from this. You know who the man is. Please, Nick. I don't know anything. Please, I'm begging you. Ha! You took a good game, Tripe, but let's see if you can walk the walk. It was pitch black, so what could the witness see? I'm calling your bluff. No, Nick, don't. Please stop. Maya's dead set on protecting the guy, the man who murdered Maya's long-lost mother. But I can't let him get away with it. I'm a lawyer, an officer of the court, and I have to find the truth.
All right, Mr. Wright.
Time to show us what you've got. I gotta save. Okay.
Who was the person you saw Miss Faye with in the darkness?
That's it. It's gotta be Godot. Because it was pitch black, Miss Faye was able to recognize the killer easily. I'm sure the court would like to see for itself how this is possible, yes?
What? But how do you propose to show us something like that?
It's easy. We just need to recreate the conditions of that night.
Conditions?
Your Honor, the defense officially requests that all the lights of this courtroom be turned off.
Whoa, this is, but it can't be.
Huh. Yep. That was a nice bit of deduction. Trite. Well, everyone, this is the man Maya saw on the night of the murder. Oh my god, what a twist, right? Nihilistic Goldfish just cheered and said that the college I attended is a major college is more cliquey than a high school. If you aren't in a sorority or fraternity or a student athlete, that you're nobody. It's sad it creates a division between students like middle school. My experience, you're absolutely right. That's how it was. That's how it was in high school. That's how it was in university. These people just divide themselves into cliques. And it's hard for you to be an individual when you're expected to fit into one of these socially norm groups. You know what I mean? And it sucks. I hate that whole thing. I really do. Alright, continuing on.
Order, order, order. Prosecutor Godot, what is the meaning of this?
Ha!
Surely you must be shocked to hear yourself accused of such a thing. Why aren't you denying it?
Ha!
Your Honor, you're asking the wrong person. What do you mean by that?
If you've got a question, ask the witness. That's one of my rules. Well, Maya, how about it? What you saw that night? Was it 3 glowing red lights?
Well, witness, answer the question.
You're wrong. I never saw that. Maya, I thought the person that stabbed my mother was a man for a totally different reason.
Oh.
He's giant glowing schlong. Da, 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 da. Okay, maybe not. RP Blurdu or Plurdu just did a 500-bit cheer to become the cheerleader for tonight. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and get you up on the leaderboard here. He had a radioactive dick. It was huge. It was glowing green. You couldn't miss it. 2 balls that glowed like the sun. All right, I don't know. We're gonna find out.
What? Witness, Mr. Wright, what the?
Stop your chattering, Your Honor.
Shut your chattering?
If it's worth asking, ask the witness. That's one of my rules.
All right. Well then, let's continue with the testimony. Please tell us how you knew the killer was a man.
Nihilistic Goldfish just did a 555-bit cheer to become the cheerleader for tonight. And he said, not so fast, dude. Thank you very much, Nihilistic Goldfish. Let's get you up on the leaderboard. Shit. There we go. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions tonight. Much appreciated for the conclusion of Phoenix Wright. If we can finish it, we're about to find out. Let's continue. Yes, Your Honor. I didn't realize it until after I woke up, but... here we go. When I came to, I was just lying there on the training hall floor. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. The torches were lit and the body was gone. And all the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. What?
So it was after the crime took place that the witness came to think the killer was a man.
Yes, that's right. I'm sorry, Your Honor. That's bullshit.
No need to apologize. As Mr. Godot said, you're utterly exhausted. It's only natural you would feel a little confused. Also, if you consider the situation you described, it doesn't seem too much of a stretch to assume the culprit was a man. Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination.
This is horse shit. I'm calling that it's a bunch of stinky duty shit. So first she says, when I came to, it was just lying there on the training hall floor. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right? Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed. So the person who carried you into the inner temple?
It could only have been the killer.
That's what I think too. So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had changed. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. I don't know. Looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather more information before I ask her again. Okay. Let's see here. RP Blurdu did a 200-bit cheer and said it's just RP Blurred. Okay, RP Bird. I only put the double O because its original name was taken. Oh, gotcha. All right, so RP Blurred. Thank you very much. Napalm Gnome to me $5. Says, why do people get upset over monetization on videos about a dead person? Serious question, because nobody gets upset about life insurance payouts. Companies release albums when an artist dies. Why not donate that money exclusively to Etika's family? Or collectively to Etika's family? Why? Because why do they really get upset? Because they're not. The truth of the matter is no one's upset. What they're doing is spinning that shit to try to make people who they don't like look bad and have some kind of ridiculous justification for it. And what they're doing is weaponizing the death of a content creator for their own selfish purposes. While on their end, they're trying to say the person who monetizes a video about someone's death is very hypocritical and selfish. In reality, their weaponization of that actually makes them a bigger hypocrite than the person that they're criticizing to begin with, and they're the one who's more at fault. There you go. Thank you very much for the $5 tip. Let's continue. So I have to get more information before I ask her that question again. The torches were lit and the body was gone. The torches were lit? Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed. I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it have been?
The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer not go to the effort of moving the body?
That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya.
Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene.
Alright, all the snow around the lantern have been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. The snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they're all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use.
An odd fellow indeed, this killer. Why on earth would anyone want to take the snow away?
Well, there's one thing that I could think of. Didn't you think that a lot of the victims' blood sprayed on the snow? Yeah, the area I collapsed in ended up being splattered. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. I think that's the most reasonable explanation.
Perhaps. However, there's something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount.
That's true. He could have just scooped up the snow that was stained with blood.
It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue.
But I think this will help explain them. Okay? Since the person did all that work, I assumed it was a man. So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right? Yes. But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker. Nick, I'm sorry. The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum script, manipulating the crime scene. For what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. Alright, so I gotta ask her again. Again, we'll do this. I think so. Why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something the killer desperately wanted to hide. Here we go. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding some evidence.
What? Hiding it for you?
Everyone knew that I was the only one at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it.
No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. So, I think it was for my sake the killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened. He did it for your sake? Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right?
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Yeah, and if that had happened, the body would have caused other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master Kareem killed my own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it.
But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you?
Huh. So, this was what she added. I think it was for my sake. The killer cleaned up the evidence of what had happened. Okay. Wait a minute. No. And here's why I think why we got a contradiction. The lantern has her name written on it. If the cleaning up had been for her sake, why did they leave her name written in blood on this lantern?
Objection!
The body of Elise Donin was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect is covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe that all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somehow odd. Oh? And what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It's the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Ah. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe that writing off of the lantern?
Oh, you're right.
But wait a minute. We know that Godot can't see it. We already said that earlier in the case. Godot cannot see that writing because his visor is red. He can't see the color red. So, so the reason he scooped up so much snow is because he couldn't actually see where the blood had splattered. He could only feel it because of the heat of the blood. So he just generally scooped up whatever felt warm, hoping he had gotten all the bloody snow, but he couldn't see the blood written on the lantern. That's why he couldn't clean that. Now it makes total sense.
Isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene?
Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, and not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing.
Objection!
But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Ha! Why would this killer move the body and remove all that snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know that the killer's plan was, but that it's a fact the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. He couldn't see it.
Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. Why did the killer leave it on the lantern?
The killer didn't notice it. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they would have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on... They wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. There, it must mean that they didn't notice it. By the way, thank you very much to that Anonymous who just resub for 24 months, earning himself the the Regal Crown chat badge. And he says, fun fact, today's the anniversary of the legalization of bologna in Canadian supermarkets. Bless the meat. Bologna's delicious. But that doesn't make any sense. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. You're right. There's no way any normal person would.
What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright?
There's only one person involved in this incident who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether.
And who would that be?
We already know. The person who couldn't see it. Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything.
You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot?
This lantern was submitted as evidence today. I would like the court to think back to the moment that it was first presented.
Hey, this lantern has something written on it. Why, it's written in blood.
No, nonsense. This lantern, it was as clean as a whistle. Huh. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right, we went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Tribulations. This is the apron of the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time, and somehow spilled coffee on it.
There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court?
Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be?
Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood stain that's smeared all over the apron.
That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a blood stain. Ha 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 ha. You couldn't see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. It wasn't blood, it was ketchup. Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them?
So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern?
Hey, Gramps, didn't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea.
Well, then, I think we got him. I wasn't sure about it until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer.
Thank you very much to Hashim, who tipped me $5. It says, thanks for responding to my story with more than just stay strong. Thanks for the cash. Can't let this affect my grades like it did in the winter. No, man. That's the thing. Priority one when you're in school is basically to make sure you get a job when you're out of school. Just focus on that. It'll all pay off as long as you can get a job when you're out of school. Don't be like me. Go out of school and not get a good job. You gotta get a job when you're out of school. That's what you're there for. Don't give two shits about friends and stuff when you're there, okay? Alright. But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth. Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Donim, also known as Miss Misty Fay.
It's hard to believe this may be true. However, once again, Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you.
Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on, how does a little graffiti make me into a killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. This is rich. Do go on, Trey. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow?
The snow? How so?
Well, I'll tell you how so. The red is in the snow. For example, why did the killer move all that snow? Why or where did all that snow go? I sound like Dr. Seuss now. Your Honor, you said it was yourself. You wanted to hide the bloody snow. Why not just take out that area?
Yes, why didn't you take just that area? Could it be?
Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow. And so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area.
Objection!
Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He could have been able to see it just fine.
It seems that once again this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot?
Now what? Uh-oh. Wait, just wait a minute. Maya?
Well, what's this? What is it with this?
Mr. Godot isn't the killer. After all, he didn't even come to the Inner Temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection!
Mud. You can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but I'm... Eek! After the murder happened, you didn't even exist.
She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne.
Oh, that's right.
Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. Maya, do you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear your testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Trey.
Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the Inner Temple after the murder.
Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearly was there at the Inner Temple, too. Here we go. Pearly was also stuck on the Inner Temple that side that night. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. He found Pearly first and cheered her right up.
Who is this Pearly?
That's my little cousin, Pearl Fay.
So when did you hear about this?
Oh, just a while ago when I was in the medical office.
I'm terribly sorry, but what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony.
What? Come on, Pearly would never tell a lie. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best thing to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness.
But, Mr. Godot,
Let's just move on to the cross-examination if the defense has no objections.
this is highly unusual, but well, Mr. Wright?
Let's get this cross-examination started. Alright. Oh boy. Here we go. This has got to be the home stretch. Alright, so she was also stuck there on the inner side of the Inner Temple side that night. Pearly. So where do you think the Pearl slept that night? In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training.
But even so, why did she go to the Inner Temple in the first place?
It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya. She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense. Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the Inner Temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Donim. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. She searched the entire Inner Temple side end to end. Well, you see, Pearly gets pretty scared when she's alone, and there weren't that many places to look. She says that she even went back and forth several times. The Inner Temple site has two structures, the training hall and a spare prep room. And there's also a storage shack, I think. That's about it. There was a storage shack, too? Pearls was looking for other people, right? Would she have really examined a storage shack all that carefully? Well, if it was me, that would be the first place I would investigate.
So that means it's possible someone may have been hiding in the storage shack.
The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. Pearls didn't hear the sound of them working on the bridge? What do you mean? I was just wondering why she would stay in the prep room. If it was me, I'd at least go out and wait at the foot of the bridge. Oh, well, Pearly said she was sleeping at the time. She said she was so scared during the night that she couldn't sleep well and woke up a bunch of times.
Poor little girl, all alone like that.
Well, we know now that she had at least one friend in the secret cabin. Dahlia Hawthorne, who was busy battling with the trick lock. She couldn't let anyone see her, so she wouldn't have shown herself to Pearls. What happened after the bridge was finally fixed? Alright, that's when Godot arrived at the Inner Temple for the first time. So it was your first time on the Inner Temple side, Godot? That's funny. Am I imagining things, or did the defense ask me a question?
Mr. Wright, please save your questions for the witness.
What you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. Those are your words, Your Honor.
Touché, Mr. Wright. Oh well. Well, what do you have to say, Mr. Godot?
Haha! Hot nights and even hotter coffee, that's what I always say. If I hadn't been for this case, I never would have visited there. A freezing cold temple in the mountains. I think I'll pass. So he had never visited Hazakura Temple or the Inner Temple, huh? Ha! You want to say something trite? In any case, I have to find a crack in Godot's armor. While I cross-examine Maya, that is. Oh boy. I just got an anonymous $5 tip from someone saying, God bless you, Phil. Many people just believe mental illness doesn't exist. They want to ignore millions of people who killed themselves because of depression. Rest in peace to Etika. Seeing a specialist doctor cost me $7,000, so I can understand why people wouldn't do that. Yeah, it's insane. The cost of healthcare in the United States is fucking out of control because health insurance will seriously only cover things that are preventative care. Anything besides, oh, I went to the doctor just for a health checkup isn't covered. So you end up paying thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fucking dollars just because you don't feel good. It's insane. So many health conditions get overlooked or mistreated or not treated at all because people just can't fucking afford it. That's the case in the United States of America. It absolutely sucks. And I'm very sorry to hear that you've been going through that because, you know, that's absolutely fucking terrible. All right, let's continue.
After fixing the bridge, the policeman came over to the Inner Temple side, right?
Yes, then Mr. Godot. found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. He cheered her up? That's what Pearlie said. He said that she was a very nice older gentleman. Thank you for looking after my cousin, Mr. Godot.
And here I was thinking you were nothing more than a coffee addict.
Ha! Cut it out. You're making me blush. This guy is really beginning to get on my nerves in more ways than one. The truth is there aren't many places to look on the Inner Temple side. The policemen were all busy going over the garden with fine-tooth combs. So I decided to carry out an investigation in my own way, Godot style.
I'm the same way. I like to hand down my own verdicts in my own way, judge style.
Maybe I should ask some questions, Phoenix style. Maybe I should save the game, Phil style. There you go. Godot's investigation. You said you conducted an investigation of your own. Did you find anything? It looks like my investigation went about as well as yours, right? After all, I did miss the bloody writing on the lantern. Well, I did miss it. I didn't miss it, so speak for yourself, Goggles. The only odd thing I discovered was the beauty in the training hall. Beauty? Misty Fey, naturally. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb, surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Western tastes? Could he find a stranger way to describe gravy?
So from there you headed for the prep room?
Wait a sec, what did Godot just say now? I think I just found his proverbial weak spot. There's only one thing of any importance here. Where was Godot when the murder was taking place? He must have already been at the Inner Temple when it happened. Otherwise, he couldn't have killed Elise Donim. Yep. Let's do the Inner Temple for the first time. Wrong. Yep, we got him. Because you know what he just said? He said that he saw Misty Fey on the mural. We got him.
Objection!
Got him. Mr. Godot, the first time you crossed Dusky Bridge and went into the Inner Temple was long before the murder ever took place. Why do you say that? Because he just made one fatal slip-up. The hanging scroll in the training hall.
Hanging scroll?
But Mr. Godot is right. That scroll shows a picture of my mother. Maya, I know you know who it is, but there's something you didn't know. By the time that the bridge had been repaired 2 days after the murder, the hanging scroll in the training hall looked like this.
What's that wonderfully delicious smell?
The morning after the crime, someone covered it with gravy. Gravy? Huh, but why gravy, Nick? Because gravy was much more than a condiment to the culprit. Well, Mr. Godot, if you really hadn't seen the hanging scroll until after the murder, you wouldn't have had any way of knowing that it was Misty Fey. Haha. Wait a minute, Nick. Yes? Take another look at that hanging scroll. Look, at the top. There's a crest there. Ah, that. It's the mark of the master, correct? Exactly. So if you know the meaning of the mark,
then you could have guessed that it was a picture of Misty Fey on there.
True, but Mr. Godot described what was underneath like this. Clad in her stunning Japanese garb surrounded by the hue and aroma of Western tastes. Oh. Yes, it's possible that he knew what the crest meant. However, he couldn't have known that she was wearing Japanese clothing. Mr. Godot, on the day of the murder, you were hiding at the Inner Temple long before the crime ever took place. Alright. Excuse me. Can I ask you one thing, Mr. Trite? What is it? This whole theory of yours, it all rests on a certain assumption. That I knew beforehand that a crime was going to be committed. That's right. Otherwise, there's no reason for him to sneak onto the crime scene. Of course, Mr. Godot knew about the plan. Huh?
What did you say? Is it really possible another person knew of that plan?
Shit. What am I doing? I have to propose the other person who knew about the plan. Well, who knew about the plan? Let's think about it. Dahlia Hawthorne knew about the plan. Morgan Fay knew about the plan. Did Iris know about the plan? Misty would have had to have known about it, or else how would she have known to channel? Misty would have known about the plan. Maya didn't know. And, well, Pearl knew about the plan. Pearl had the fucking letter, right? Yeah. So, a lot of people knew. Definitely Pearl and Morgan Fay knew because we have a direct piece of evidence proving that they would have known. Alright, let's say Pearl Fay.
Take that!
No? I guess not. I'm gonna save now. Damn it. Alright, so the guess didn't work. And the idiot were just bluffing. Ah! Nice. Alright, the first thing to do. Morgan knew. Misty Fay had to have known. Right? Misty Fay had to have known. But we also know, obviously, Dahlia knew. Actually, no, Dahlia didn't know about the plan. She was dead. No, wait. Dahlia did know about the plan. Morgan had told her about it earlier. Let's try Misty, and if that's not right, then we'll do something else.
Take that!
Nope. Ah, okay. Well, good thing I saved. Good thing I saved. Alright. Hilarious. That's hilarious. She wasn't even up there. That's fucking great. All of a sudden, she's back on the stand that she's under arrest, even though that wasn't even what we were doing. Haha. Okay, good thing I saved. Okay. Wait, what? Oh, okay. I saved her before the first fail. Haha, okay. Or how about this? How about we present the letter and see if that's what they're going at?
Take that!
Oh! They wanted the letter. They wanted the letter. No nihilistic goldfish, sorry, I would not do a new DSP Tristan for 10,000 bits. The crime was actually planned over a year ago. Morgan Fay authored the plan for her daughter's future. And these instructions were hidden somewhere in the Fay Manor for a year. However, by the time little Pearls found the instructions, they had already been unsealed.
Unsealed?
Yes, the killer had read these instructions long before Pearls ever found them. That's how he knew the crime was about to take place at the Inner Temple. And you still insist this crafty killer is me? You bet I do. But you just said that the instructions were hidden. That's right. Mr. Godot couldn't have known where the instructions were hidden. If he really wanted to know, he had one great chance to find out.
Yes, and when was that?
Let me save again. Because I don't know. During a visit, Morgan Fay told her daughter Pearl about where the instructions were hidden. During one of her visits to the detention center. That would have been the only time for someone to have learned where they were hidden.
Eavesdropping on a visit at the detention center?
Yes, it could be arranged if you were someone with easy access in and out of there. Like, for example, a prosecutor such as Mr. Godot. Alright.
Order! Mr. Godot, you're under fire again!
This murder could not have been carried out without prior knowledge. And you were the only one that could have required this information before the murder. Ha! Humans are afraid of the dark. And yet, at the same time, we're fascinated and bewitched by it. Maybe that's why humans drink the darkness that is coffee. Sorry for always asking, but what does that mean? It means there's a reason for everything. According to your theory, the killer in this case eavesdropped on a conversation during a jail visit when he learned of the hidden plan for a crime. After discovering the plans, he hid in the Inner Temple and waited for the crime to occur. Then he ultimately took a person's life. And he did all of that just to protect this witness? That's right. If you're accusing me of this crime, I have to ask you, why would I do this? This girl is nothing but a stranger to me. I've got no reason to go through that kind of trouble to protect her. Ah, delicious. I am what you see. I am certainly not the type to rescue the damsel in distress.
The killer's behavior is certainly extreme, for lack of a better word. Even considering that the killer wanted to protect this witness's life, his behavior is still a little too unnatural.
However, you had a good reason, didn't you, Mr. Godot? An unshakable reason that forced you to protect this witness at all costs, let me say. Vouch just curious to feel you remind me of Michael Jones from Rooster Teeth. Thanks, I guess? I don't know who that is. I knew it. You figured it out, haven't you, Nick? Maya, I guess you were doing your best to cover for Godot for the same reason, huh? Okay, Trent, I'm all ears. Let's hear it. It's very simple. Maya Fey is a lot more than just a stranger to you.
What's this?
There's one person who lies at the very center of this whole story. One person that ties you and Maya Fey together inextricably. Mia Fey. There's a very good reason why Maya Fey's life is so precious to you. After all, she is Mia Fey's only sister. Mia Fey. You once worked alongside her. That was when you were a defense attorney.
Wait a second here. Mr. Godot is a defense attorney?
With your honor's piercing intellect, you must have figured it out by now. The real name of this man who calls himself Godot, his real name is Diego Armando, isn't that right? The last time someone called me by that name was over 6 years ago.
Diego Armando that name rings a big bell.
It should, Your Honor. All of this is related to a single case. A case which a convict named Terry Falls killed himself. Mia Fey's first time in court, a tragic outcome left a deep wound in her heart. She knew that behind it all was a heartless, scheming demoness in disguise. But in the end, Mia couldn't tear off that disguise. However, there was one man who reached out to help her. Diego Armando, a senior defense attorney at the office where Mia worked. It's my fault! It's all my fault that Mr. Falls killed himself. Mia, you can't cry yet. Ha! Ouch, that fucking hurt. The only time a lawyer can cry is when it's all over. I was moved by her. The way she put all her faith in her clients. That pure sweetheart of hers. That's why I could never forgive Dahlia Hawthorne. Mia and I thoroughly investigated that fake kidnapping incident. Then one fateful day, Dahlia wanted to meet with me. It had been 6 months since the trial, and we met in the courthouse cafeteria.
Oh, I just remembered. 6 years ago, right here in this courthouse, you were poisoned.
Even I didn't see it coming. Dahlia Hawthorne slipped some poison into my coffee.
Some newspapers at the time called it a murder, but very little information about the case was released to the press.
But you weren't dead at all. No official reports ever actually called it a murder. I was just in a deep coma. I see. My body shut down and my life became nothing but a long, deep sleep. That woman's poison did a real number on my central nervous system. I lost my sight and all of my hair turned white due to the damage it caused. That's terrible. Apparently it was a miracle that I never regained consciousness. 5 years had passed since I drank that poison brew. Then one morning, my eyes flew open from the smell of a doctor's cup of coffee.
5 years? You were asleep for 5 years?
And the worst possible news was waiting for me. Mia Fey was dead. From the very moment I opened my eyes, I'd already lost everything I thought I had. The woman I had loved had been murdered. And the woman I loathed had been sentenced to death.
The woman you loathed?
The woman who had spiked my scalding hot coffee, Dahlia Hawthorne. Ah. Ha! Good old Mia. She didn't let me down. She got her revenge before she checked out. In the end, there wasn't anyone waiting for me when I woke up. That's so sad. For someone like me, for someone who had slipped away their best days, there were only 2 reasons left to leave. And it was for those 2 reasons that I decided to become a prosecutor. If I may ask, what were your 2 reasons to live? The first was youth, right? Huh? Me? If I hadn't drank that stupid poison, Mia Fane never would have died, much less the way she did. You were the one who was there to protect her, but you let her die. It was all your fault. It wasn't like that. No, I'm joking. I wanted to see for myself what kind of a man you really were.
So that's why you became a prosecutor?
My other reason for living goes by the name of Maya Fane. Huh? You mean me? You were the only way I could make up for the sin of not saving Mia. 1 year ago, when the Courtroom village incident was resolved, it was obvious that Morgan Fay was planning something. Whatever her evil plan was, I was determined to stop it. My role as a prosecutor put me in the perfect position to do something about her.
That's how you overheard Pearl's visit with Morgan at the detention center.
I knew that the time was drawing near. Since I knew the plan, I thought I could foil it. My goal was to outwit the plan. I thought if I could do that, I could keep the girl from being caught up in it. That makes sense.
If Pearls had known what the actual purpose of the plan was to kill Maya, she never would have helped out.
Finally, the day of the plan was drawing near. I contracted both of my accomplices.
Accomplices?
Iris of Hazakura Temple and Misty Faye. I especially needed the help of Iris. She was to take the fall in my backup plan in case we couldn't control Pearl Faye.
But how did you contact my mother?
She had been missing for almost 20 years. Officially, yes.
What? What do you mean officially?
You've heard about it, haven't you? About the strong ties between the main family and the government. Now that you mention it, Bikini did say something to that effect. She said that the Master of Karain had great authority. Even without her official position, Misty Faye wielded great influence. The police have been keeping an eye on her movements all this time. That's how I was able to contact her. Again, because of my position as a prosecutor. So my mother was cooperating with you? Don't ever forget, no matter how far away from you she was, she never stopped thinking about you. She was always? That's why I knew she would do anything to protect you. If you want to know how strong her resolve to protect you was, look at her staff.
Her staff? The one with the sword in it?
The day the plan was to be carried out arrived soon enough. We met for the first time at Hazakura Temple. That's when your mother showed me her special staff. I realized it then just how far she was willing to go. She was ready to use that sword to protect you from Morgan Fay if necessary. Ha! Yes, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Mother.
That night, the night of the crime, there was just one way to stop Morgan's evil plan.
You mean Pearls, don't you?
We had to make sure she didn't channel Dahlia Hawthorne. Pearl, what are you going to do tonight? Well, if you'd like, you can come to my room. Perhaps we can read some books together. Okay. We thought we could prevent her from playing her part in Morgan's plan. But she never showed up. She was worried and followed me to the inner temple. That was the thing we were most afraid of. And that's why Misty Faye had to do the channeling herself. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne into her own body.
What? What do you mean?
If she channeled the spirit first, then Pearls wouldn't be able to do it herself. As Master of Kurain, Misty Faye's power was supreme. So that's how it went down. She channeled Dahlia Hawthorne so that Pearl Faye wouldn't be able to. Ah!
What? Is this true?
My whole role in the plan was to make sure no one was going to hurt Maya Faye. That's why I hid myself at the inner temple, just in case you needed to be safe from Dahlia Hawthorne.
Godot.
Anyway, that's all I'm going to admit to, right? Huh? There's no doubt about it. You're a great defense attorney. But you're going to have to do the rest yourself.
The background leading up to this incident has been laid bare. There's one question remaining, Mr. Wright. Who killed the victim?
Alright, let's see.